Hi, this is Steve here in my workshop in Bellevue, Nebraska for the Shopsmith Mark IV 7520. Today is part 3 of the Helical Cutterhead upgrade for the Shopsmith Planer. Now, last time, if you remember, I had just finished disassembling the planer and taking out the old Cutterhead, and now we're getting ready to put in the new one. Now, since the last video, Sheartak has changed their policy, so they no longer ship these heads with the bearings separate. So Sheartak had me send the cutter head back to them, and they installed the bearings on there for me. And so I've gotten this back, and I'm getting ready to put it in. And I tried it to put it in, and there's just not enough clearance around here to get it put in without removing at least one row of these cutters on here. So that's what I've been doing here. I've removed every one except the last one in this row here. And if you get in closer, you'll see me do that on that last cutter. So I'm going to just loosen this with the tool that they provide. And we'll take that off and set these here. Now, as you remember, it came with plastic and oil, so I have had to take this cloth to wipe off all of the oil that was on here for protection, because when I run that through the planer with the wood, I don't want all those wood chips to stick to it. So at this point, I need to put the gloves back on to protect myself from those sharp blades. And we're going to come around here and put this in. So as you can see here, the problem was sliding this through here. Because these are square, it was just becoming too difficult to fit those past. So now at least with one row removed, I can rotate it enough. Hopefully here. Let's start this again. I need to have, I think, that on the bottom. The ones that have been removed, I need to have here on the bottom in order to do this. And then just kind of have to rotate this a little bit at a time as I put it in here to get the other blades to clear past that opening. I'm just having to rotate back and forth as I put it in to get this in here. Now this is with one row removed. When I had it in there, it was going, but I got it so far and I just could not get it any further. So because there's just such a tight tolerance here for sliding this in here. So there were, before I get any further, I've got to put this spring washer. It's one that goes on each end. So I've got to put that on this end here. It slides over the shaft. And we're going to get this put in here is what we're going to do. So we'll keep putting it in. Getting it slid in. Okay. I'm going to have to come around this side now to get to it. And I think at this point I'm going to have to lift up this end. Here we go. To support it. And I'll keep getting it put through there. Okay, my row that's not there is there. Okay, there we go. There's there. I think I'm going to go get a large screwdriver to support that right end there. I'll be right back. So I'm going to use this to help lift that up on that end. What I'm going to do. Let's see here. There we go. Now I can, that's supported there. Okay. So here's this. Okay. Okay. There. Come over here, lift this over here. Okay. There we go. It's getting in there. Okay. Put my finger on the right end there so I can lift up the shaft, support it on the other side. If I can get that, then you get that spring washer all the way in there is what I need to do. Bring that back a little bit. Get that spring washer all the way in there. See, right now I would have been better off putting that spring washer in the hole before I put this shaft on here. I can see that right now. But I think I've got that on there now. All right. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now that bearing, you can see here, watch me as I push that in. I'm pushing that in as much as I can. And there we go. There. And I think that's about as far as I can get that in over there. Okay. So now we got to do this side here. And of course I've got spring washer on this side, and it's going to go inside of here. And then I'm going to fit this on here, and I need to line that bearing up with here so the weak, and these two have to fit, these two pins have to fit in there. All right, where'd it go? Let's see. Might have gone in my drawer here again. Let's see. It did. There it is. Yep, fell down inside my drawer. Okay. So here we are. Here's this. And I think this fits like this. Yeah. So let's raise this up. One here. I think I'm just going to lift up on that cutter right there, see if I can do it this way. Okay, there we go. Starting to get it. Okay, there we go. I got that bearing started. And now I'm going to get my rubber mallet here and just tap it a little bit. That my holes aren't lined up here for this to go in. Okay, well, let's see if I can start these screws in here and pull it in. Let's try that. Because last time I replaced this cutter head, that's how I ended up pulling it all the way in, was tighten these screws gradually. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Get that started. Okay, that's starting there. And this is starting. That is starting there. And this one here. Starting here. Okay. The last time I replaced my regular cutter head, you see how now the screw's pulling that in gradually? Yeah, see? And what that'll do, that will seat this one and that one both correctly once these are tightened all the way. So I'll just do about half turn at a time all the way around. Take it in gradually. You can hear a little creak in there as it pulls it in. Yeah, you heard that? Just a half turn at a time. That's what I'm doing. Around each screw. There we go. And it just pulls it in. Looks like that one's tight. That one's tight. And that one's tight. So now I'll switch to this one. Do it about 1/8 of a turn. 1/8 of a turn. 1/8 of a turn. Okay, that is tight and seated. We'll do this one again, check it. A little tighter. Now you want to be careful here because you can strip out the threads on that aluminum on the other side, so you don't want to overdo it. We do want to get them fully seated. So that is fully seated now. So now let me make sure this is turning okay, and it is. I'm doing this by hand. It's doing by hand, okay. So now I'm going to put that row of cutters back on one at a time, starting with this one here. Okay, start here with this one. When you put these cutters in, they automatically seat themselves the way they need to be seated. There, that one, that's tight. For the next one. Oops, there we go. Okay, there's that one. I'll do a third one here. Okay, third one. Now they give you 3 extra cutters with this head when they ship it to you. And some extra screws also, in case you inadvertently break one of the screws. Okay, here's my fourth one. And of course, they give you this tool that I'm using that comes with it when you get it. I think you probably saw that when I unpacked on the first video when I unpacked it. So this is the third part of a 4-part video series. There'll be one more after this one, which will be when I actually install it on my Mark 7 and run some stock through it. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, we've got we got 4 more left. Now, I could probably do these without gloves, but my age, with my thin skin, I bleed too easily when I get cuts at my age, so I'll make sure and use these gloves. Okay, here we go. So Mike and Lucy at Sheartak have just been terrific at providing support and answering questions, and so they really have good customer support. They'll if you got any questions or anything, problems whatsoever, they take care of you. All right, what's the deal here? It wasn't. Oh, there we go. There's that one. And so Mike explained that when they first were doing these cutter heads, they would ship them the bearings separately and have the customer do it. And but they've since changed so that now they just pre-install those bearings for you automatically, and they don't charge you any extra to do that. I did notice that Bird, they do charge you extra if you want them to put those bearings on for you. So that is one thing I noticed is a difference. Okay, just got one more after this one. And then we can start putting the rest of the pieces back together. Now, I noticed when I took these off, they was not super difficult to remove them. They're not, you know, they're not torqued so tight that it's almost impossible to remove them. They don't do that. So okay, so there we are. That's that last one back on, and now we're ready to start reassembling it. And I'm going to refer back to the booklet here that I referred to earlier for putting it back together. And let's see here. Look where we put the cutter head back in. Oh, feed roller replace. Let's see here. Remounting. Let's see here. Assembly here. Yeah, we've got pictures right here showing the assembly. Of course, you noticed here on the regular cutter head, when that's put in, there's just it's so close tolerance between each of these blades that are around there. But when you add on to that the square shape of these cutters, that's why the head won't fit through with those cutters on there. So that's what you have to do here on the Shopsmith. So, all right. So we will put back on the shields. That's what we're going to put on back now. And we'll start with, I'll start with this one. And this one goes right here. And we've got 6 screws for that. And we'll just start putting those in. And these use your, fortunately, these use your 5/32 tool that comes with your machine. Get that lined up there. Here we go. And now I think I'm going to take my gloves off because it's starting to be too difficult to put those screws in. So I'll take those off now. Okay, we'll get these 6 started and then we'll tighten them up. There's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. Actually, I'm going to use this to do it so I don't drop that screw. Well, let me look here. Oh, I'm wrong. It's not the 5/32. It's this smaller one I've got to use here. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, got that one started. And I will do the last one here. Okay, there we go. All right, so I've learned from experience of doing this before. Make sure you tighten these front ones first, because it pushes that shield that way. And if you don't do it that way, you might have some trouble getting that thing on tightly. So there's that one. Now let's do this one. Okay, there's that one. And I'll tighten these ones on top. There's that one. That one. Fifth one. And my 6th one. Okay. I'll come over here, make sure they're tight. Okay, that's done. So that's our infeed shields back on. Now we'll put our outfield shield on. And if you remember, I left the screws in. They're right in here. And this has to go on like this. I have to use my 5/32 here on this one. If you remember, I can only do this a quarter turn at a time. So this is time consuming doing this one. Both of these actually. Okay, let's get this one over here started. The other side. Oops, that other side did not stay started. Okay, that one stayed. Okay, that one's done. If there's any way I can. No. Okay, there we go. Outfield's done. Outfeed shield is done. That's back on. Yep, gonna have to loosen that up a little bit. It's a little bit too hard to open and close. Loosen that about a quarter turn. Loosen that one a quarter turn. And now we're good. Okay. And we'll lock that up. Lock that one up there. Okay. So now let's come around here and let's put back on our feed motor. Okay, we'll start here with this one here. And that lines up with that. We got a key on here. There we go. There's that one there. Okay. Now, interesting enough, they did ship 2 new keys in case you've lost yours. If yours came off or you lost them, they do give you 2 new keys. Sheartak does. All right. Yep. Otherwise, these are going to come off. So there's a washer that goes on here and a nut. And there's a washer on here and the nut goes on here. Yeah, my dad always told me, you got parts left over when you're done. You did something wrong. Okay, so we'll tighten these back on. That one. And that one. And I need a large screwdriver, which I'll be right back. Here we are. This is to keep these from turning while I tighten it. So you just put this right there, pull out on a little bit so I can tighten that. That's not going to turn. Same thing over here on this one. Hold that in position. Wait a minute. Try this again here. Here we go. Do it over there. Well, let's just do it like that. All right. Got to be a better way to do this. Here we go. Try that again. All right, there we are. So that's on tight. Now I'll put our motor on. There we are. Okay. There we are. Get each of these started. All right, there we go. So get each of these hand tight here. Now there's a lot of threads in there for these, so these will take a little while. What's going on here? Almost feels like that one is stripped. Let's take that out and find out what's going on. Almost like, well, we'll just take it off and see. Okay. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, I've got here. Okay, you notice here, one screw's longer than the others. And this one here is the one that got stripped out, I remember. So I have to make sure and have the longest one going into here. Because I remember I ended up having to re-tap that to go in a little further. So I have to make sure that this long one goes into here. Now yours probably won't have that problem. But years ago I stripped that out. So I had to re-tap the hole and tap a little bit deeper. That's why I've got the longer screw here on that one. So that's an example of what happens if you over tighten, strip out those threads on the aluminum casting that's over there. So just be careful. This doesn't have to be super tight, just enough to keep the motor in place and in position. See, now this one's going in. The thread's going in deeper. All right. There. So once it's tight, hand tight, and only do it about 1/8 of a turn more. Don't do any more than that, or you'll strip those out. Okay, there we are. So our motor's back on. Now we'll put our control box back on. And that's got 3 screws that go right here. And this will take a flat tip screwdriver to do this. And I've got one right here. Here we are. Okay, that one's lined up. This one is lined up. And the bottom one here should already be lined up. So we'll just tighten those up. They don't need to be super tight. That's good. Once there, when you get it tight, then just do 1/8 of a turn more. You don't strip them out. 1/8 of a turn. 1/8 of a turn. All right, so there we are. We've got the planer back together, ready to mount it. And so next time we'll mount it and we'll try it out and see how it works. All right, that's the end of this one. This is part 3. Thanks for watching.